What if one small act of anger or ego could quietly change the direction of your life? What if the way you respond to disrespect matters more than the disrespect itself? And what if an ancient story about Lord Vishnu could help us understand real problems like stress, broken relationships, and financial pressure in today's world? This video explores a well-known story from Hindu tradition, often linked to the Puranas and the beliefs around Lord Venkateswara. It is important to be clear, this story is mythological, not a historical record. You can find versions of it in texts like the Bhagavata Purana and in temple traditions, but details may vary across sources. What makes it powerful is not whether it happened, but what it teaches about human behavior, emotions, and choices. In this story, we will see themes like ego, patience, respect, loss, responsibility, and the idea of destiny. These are not just religious ideas. They are part of everyday life. People face misunderstandings in families, pressure at work, and struggles with money. Many wonder if their life is already decided, or if they can change it. Modern psychology suggests that our decisions, habits, and emotional control play a major role in shaping outcomes. This connects deeply with the lessons hidden in this story. As you listen, try to reflect on your own life. Where do you react quickly? Where could patience change the outcome? This video is not here to tell you what to believe, but to help you think clearly and see connections between old stories and modern life. If you find this kind of honest and thoughtful storytelling useful, consider liking the video and subscribing so you don't miss more content like this. Hindu tradition involving the sage Bhrigu and Lord Vishnu. According to versions found in texts like the Bhagavata Purana and other Puranic traditions, Bhrigu once set out to test the three major gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, to see who was the most patient and worthy of devotion. When he reached Vishnu, the story says he did something shocking. He kicked Vishnu on the chest. Now, it is important to be clear that this is a mythological account, not a historical event, and details can differ across sources. But what happens next is the heart of the story. Instead of reacting with anger, Vishnu remained calm. He gently held the sage's foot and asked if he was hurt. This response is often described in traditional interpretations as a sign of deep patience and humility. When we look at this from a real-life point of view, it reflects something very familiar. People often react quickly when they feel insulted. A harsh word, a rude comment, or even a small misunderstanding can lead to anger, arguments, or long-term conflict. Modern research in psychology shows that strong emotional reactions, especially anger, can make situations worse and damage relationships. In contrast, calm responses often reduce conflict and build respect over time. Vishnu's response in the story can be seen as a symbolic example of emotional control, not weakness. The story also introduces another important element. It is said that goddess Lakshmi, who is believed to reside in Vishnu's chest, felt hurt by this act of disrespect and chose to leave. This part is also symbolic. It reflects how disrespect in real life can lead to emotional distance. Families, friendships, and partnerships often suffer not because of big events, but because of repeated small acts of disrespect or ego. So, while this story is not a factual record, it offers a meaningful way to think about human behavior. It raises a simple but powerful idea. Our response in difficult moments can shape what happens next. The story by focusing on what happens after this moment of conflict and separation. In many Hindu traditions, it is believed that Lord Vishnu took a form on earth as Lord Venkateswara. This belief is strongly connected to the temple at Tirumala Venkateswara Temple, which is a real and well-documented place. In fact, it is one of the most visited pilgrimage sites in the world, with millions of people visiting every year. Historical records and temple management reports confirm the large number of visitors and offerings, though the mythological story itself is based on tradition, not historical proof. This is an important distinction. The place is real, the belief is meaningful, but the story is symbolic. According to temple traditions and later texts, Venkateswara is said to have lived on earth and faced situations similar to human life. One well-known part of this story is the idea that he took a loan from Kubera, the god of wealth, to cover the expenses of his marriage. Devotees often believe that the offerings made at the temple help repay this debt. Again, this is a religious belief, not a financial system that can be verified in a real-world sense. However, the idea itself connects strongly to everyday life. Many people today live with loans, whether for education, housing, or family needs. Data from global financial studies shows that personal debt is common in many countries, and managing it is a major part of adult life. This part of the story can be understood as a reflection of responsibility rather than escape. Instead of avoiding the situation, the character accepts it and continues forward. In real life, people often feel stress when facing money problems, but solutions usually come from planning, discipline, and asking for help when needed. The story does not provide a financial formula, but it points toward a simple idea. Challenges are part of life, and how we deal with them matters. By connecting a divine figure to human-like struggles, the story makes these lessons easier to understand and remember. The deeper meaning of the story into focus, moving away from the events and into what they may represent about human life. Before anything else, it is important to clearly state that ideas like destiny in this story are philosophical and religious interpretations, not scientific facts. There is no verified scientific evidence that destiny is fixed or written in advance. Psychology and behavioral studies, however, suggest that human choices, habits, and environment strongly shape life outcomes over time. This is supported by research in behavioral science and decision-making studies that you can explore in academic sources on psychology and human behavior. In this context, the story of Lord Vishnu and Lord Venkateswara is often seen as a symbolic guide rather than a literal account. One key idea is the difference between destiny and free will. Many people believe destiny controls everything, but real life shows a more balanced picture. For example, two people may face the same problem, but their responses can lead to very different outcomes. One may give up, while the other may try again and improve. This simple pattern is seen in education, work, and personal growth. It shows that choices matter. Another important idea is how myths can be used as teaching tools. The story of Vishnu is not meant to be a historical report, but a way to explain human emotions like anger, patience, and respect. Across cultures, stories are often used to teach values because they are easier to remember than rules or lectures. This is why similar moral stories exist in many traditions around the world, not just in Hindu mythology. Finally, the story connects to emotional strength. Modern studies in psychology show that people who manage emotions like anger and stress often build better relationships and make clearer decisions. Emotional control does not mean ignoring feelings, but understanding them before reacting. In real life, this can mean pausing before speaking in anger or thinking carefully before making a big decision. These small actions can change long-term outcomes, so While the story is symbolic, the lesson is practical. Life is shaped not only by what happens to us, but by how we respond to it, moment by moment. In the end, this story about Lord Vishnu and Lord Venkateswara is not meant to be taken as a historical record. It comes from Hindu tradition, found in texts like the Puranas and temple beliefs, and details can vary between sources. What is more important is the meaning people have taken from it over time. It is a symbolic story that helps explain human behavior, emotions, and choices in a simple way that anyone can understand. Across all three parts of this story, one idea stays the same. How we react in difficult moments can shape our future more than the situation itself. Whether it is the moment of disrespect shown by Bhrigu, the emotional separation symbolized by goddess Lakshmi, or the idea of life on earth linked with the Tirumala Venkateswara temple, each part points back to patience, responsibility, and self-control. These are not rules of destiny, but reflections of human life. In real life, research in psychology shows that people who think before reacting, manage stress better, and take responsibility for their actions often build more stable relationships and make better long-term decisions. This does not mean life is always easy or fair, but it suggests that we are not completely powerless. Our choices, even small ones, matter over time. It is also important to be honest about limits. There is no scientific proof that destiny works in a fixed or written way. That idea belongs more to belief and philosophy than to science. But stories like this remain powerful because they help people reflect on their own behavior in a simple and emotional way. So as you think about this story, the real question is not whether every detail is literal, but what you take from it into your daily life. Patience in conflict, care in relationships, and responsibility in challenges.